Elias stood in the driveway, his hands sweating. He wiped them on his good jeans, his heart thumping a heavy, unsteady rhythm against his ribs. This was it. The centerpiece of his father's 65th birthday party, shrouded under a gray silk cover, was about to be revealed. He had spent 5 years of skipped vacations, double shifts at the garage, and nights spent eating cheap ramen, pouring his soul and over $40,000 into restoring this car. It was a 1969 Mustang. The exact one his father, Martin, had taught him to work on before selling it for scrap when times got tough. Elias had done this to finally, get the nod of approval, the look of respect that his father always reserved for his younger brother. Leo, who was currently standing by the barbecue, laughing, holding a beer. Leo, who was 30 years old, unemployed, and still living in their father's basement. Martin, beaming, stepped onto the driveway. All right. Quiet down. My oldest boy, Elias, has something he wants to show me. Says it's a project he's been working on. Elias felt a surge of pride. This was his moment. Happy birthday, Dad. He pulled the cover. The crowd gasped. The car was a gleaming, perfect specimen of black cherry paint. The chrome bumpers shined under the afternoon sun. It wasn't just restored, it was better than new. Elias, Martin whispered, his eyes wide. He walked around it, his hand hovering over the paint, afraid to touch it. This is our car. The one we sold. Elias finished, his voice thick with emotion. It took me 3 years just to find the chassis. I rebuilt it for you, from the ground up. He held out the keys. The original Ford logo polished. Martin took them, his hand trembling. It pulled Elias into a hug. And for a moment, Elias felt a warmth he hadn't felt since childhood. Thank you, son, Martin said, his voice cracking. This is the greatest gift I've ever gotten. Elias Biamed. He had done it. He had finally done it. Martin cleared his throat, turning to the crowd of friends and family. My boy Elias, a hard worker, a master mechanic. He paused, and Elias's smile felt frozen. Waiting. He's a man who understands what family means. Martin turned, his eyes landing on Leo. Elias, you've got a great job. Your own place. You've got your life together. He motioned for Leo to come forward. Leo, looking confused but pleased, sauntered over. Dad, what's going on? Leo asked. Martin held up the keys. Your brother understands that a man has to take care of his family. Leo, you've had it rough. It's hard to find work without a reliable car. You've been stressed. You need a break. The blood drained from Elias's face. No, he wouldn't. Martin placed the Mustang keys into Leo's outstretched hand. Happy birthday to me, Martin said, his eyes tearing up again. Because now, my youngest son will finally have a decent car to go out and find a real job. Thank you, Elias, for this sacrifice. The crowd applauded, some looking confused, others nodding at the noble gesture. Leo looked at the keys, then at Elias. A slow, smug smile spread across his face. It was the same smile he'd had when he accidentally broke Elias's bicycle as a kid, and Martin had bought him a new one. Wow, Dad. Wow, Eli. This is amazing. Thanks, bro. I'll even let you wash it for me sometime. Elias stood there, frozen. His chest felt like it had been packed with ice. $40,000. 5 years of his life. He could feel the cheap material of his jeans. The ache in his back from the double shift he'd pulled just yesterday to afford the custom upholstery. He wanted to scream. He wanted to grab the keys and drive the car straight through his father's garage door. But he didn't. He just nodded. The applause died down. He had been humiliated. Demoted from son to family mechanic in 10 seconds. He forced a tight smile. His voice came out. Strained. But he was the only one who could tell. Of course. Dad. Happy to help. Leo. Just be careful with it. It's a special build. Martin clapped him on the back. That's my boy, always the responsible one. In fact, Elias said, the seed of an idea, cold and hard, planting itself in his mind. I'll show you both. I built it with a custom anti-theft system. High-tech. He opened the driver's door, leaned in, and pointed to a small, unmarked panel under the dash. You have to prime this before you start it, or the fuel line won't engage. It's a bit tricky. It's a custom kill switch. If you don't do it right, the engine shuts down completely. It's for security. Don't want anyone stealing it. Right. Who? Leo said, looking unimpressed. Whatever. Just show me how to start it. It's easy, Elias said, his smile feeling more genuine now. You just press this, then this, and turn the key. The engine roared to life. A deep, perfect rumble that Elias had tuned by hand. Sweet Leo yelled, jumping into the driver's seat. I'm taking this out. Not tonight. Son, Martin said, laughing. We've got cake. But tomorrow you can go to that interview. Elias watched them walk back to the party, his father's arm around his golden child. He looked at the perfect, gleaming car that was no longer his. The anti-theft system. He thought. He had lied. It wasn't just a panel. It was a remote-activated, GPS-linked kill switch that he could control from his laptop. He had installed it in case the car was ever stolen. He looked at his father and his brother, laughing. He had built the car. He had paid for it, and he would be the only one who could decide who got to drive it. The ice in his chest began to melt, replaced by a slow, burning heat. He walked to his beat-up truck, got in, and drove home, ignoring his father's calls to stay for cake. Elias drove his truck back to his small rental apartment, the engine's familiar rattle doing nothing to soothe the ringing in his ears. He unlocked his door and stepped inside, the silence of the empty room amplifying his rage. He slammed the door shut, the frame vibrating. He stood in the dark, clenching and unclenching his fists. Sacrifice. The word his father used. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was theft. He sank onto his worn sofa, the springs groaning. He thought of the nights he had skipped dinner, opting for a greasy burger at the garage just to save an extra $20 for the chrome trim. He thought of the weekends spent hunched over the engine block, his knuckles split and bleeding, while Leo was out at bars, spending their father's money. He had done it all for that one moment, that one look of pride, and his father had taken that moment, twisted it, and handed it to the very person who represented everything Elias was not. Never again. He whispered into the darkness. He felt no guilt. He felt no sadness. All he felt was the cold, clean edge of a decision finally made. He wasn't the family's responsible one. He was just the fool who paid the bills. Well, the fool was done. The next morning, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Leo at 10 a.m. Leo. Taking the new ride to that interview. Wish me luck, P.S. It handles like a dream. Bro. Elias stared at the text. Interview. He knew Leo had no interview. It was just an excuse to show off the car. To cruise around and feel like the big man his father always told him he was. Elias walked over to his desk, sat down, and opened his laptop. It wasn't a fancy machine, just a practical one he used for ordering parts and managing his garage's accounts. He opened a piece of custom software he had designed himself. A simple black screen appeared, with a single green dot pulsing on a map of the state. The Mustang. He watched the dot. It left his father's neighborhood, got on the freeway, and headed south. The financial district, where any interview would be, was north. Leo was heading straight for the coastal highway, toward the beach, 80 miles away. Elias watched the dot move for a solid hour, his anger turning into a cold, hard certainty. He watched it pull off the main highway and onto a long, isolated stretch of scenic road. Miles from the nearest town, Leo was joyriding, wasting gas that Elias had probably paid for. Elias took a sip of his cold, leftover coffee. He moved his mouse. A small, simple control panel was on the side of the screen, a digital rendering of the car's dashboard. He clicked on a small icon labeled Fuel Pump Relay. A pop-up box appeared. Are you sure you wish to disable the primary fuel pump? He clicked, yes. The icon on the screen turned from green to red. Fuel pump disabled. He leaned back in his chair. He knew exactly what would happen. The car would sputter, starve of fuel, and coast to a dead stop, in the middle of nowhere, on a road with no shoulder. He waited. He didn't have to wait long. Maybe 5 minutes. His phone erupted with a call. Leo flashed on the screen. Elias let it ring 4 times, then picked up. Hey. Leo. How was the interview? Elias, thank God. Stop messing around. You gotta help me. Leo's voice was high-pitched. Frantique. This piece of junk you gave me, it's dead. It just died. What do you mean? Died. Elias asked, inspecting his fingernails. It was running perfectly last night. Did you do the anti-theft sequence I showed you? I don't know, I just got in and drove. It just stopped. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Man, there's no nothing out here. Elias said, feigning deep thought. That's weird. Sounds like maybe the fuel pump gave out. Or it could be the alternator. You know, old cars. Leo. They're temperamental. That's why I told Dad it was a project. A project he gave it to me. It's supposed to work. Leo shrieked. What am I supposed to do? You're the mechanic. You have to come fix it. There it was. The demand. Not a request. A demand. Elias felt a slow, cold smile spread across his face. Fix it, Elias said, his voice perfectly calm. I can't. Leo. I'm slammed at the shop. Double shift today. You know how it is. À double. No, you can't do this to me, Elias. I'm serious. Come get me. Sorry. Man, Elias said. Like you said, it's your car now. You're the one holding the keys. I guess you'll have to figure it out. Call a tow truck. A tow. I don't have money for a tow truck. That sounds like a you problem. Leo. Not a me problem. Elias said. Gotta go. Boss is calling. He hung up the phone. He turned off the ringer and set it face down on the desk. He looked back at the laptop. The green dot on the map was no longer pulsing. It was stationary. Dead. Just like Leo had said. Elias felt the crushing weight that had been sitting on his chest for 5 years finally lift. He could breathe. He stood up, went into his kitchen, and started to make a fresh pot of coffee. The good kind. He had some extra money to spend. Elias enjoyed his coffee in a way he hadn't in years. It was hot, strong, and tasted like freedom. He spent the next 2 hours in his garage, methodically cleaning his tools, lining up wrenches, and wiping grease from his workbench. It felt good to focus on his own things, his own work. He turned his phone's ringer back on, not out of anxiety, But out of curiosity, he wanted to hear the next phase. It came at 1:30 p.m. Affrantique. Buzzing call from Leo. She's at a garage coastal auto or something, Leo yelled. Not even bothering with hello. The tow truck cost me $400. Elias, $400. I had to give the guy my watch as collateral until Dad can wire me the money. Elias leaned against his workbench. That's tough. Leo, you should be more careful with your money. It's your fault, Leo screamed. And now the mechanic here. This old guy says he doesn't know what's wrong. He's been looking at it for an hour. He says the fuel pump is fine. The battery is fine. But it just won't start. He says he's never seen wiring like this and asked if it was some custom job. You did something to it. I told you. Leo, it's a custom anti-theft system. Elias said, his voice smooth as oil. It's high-tech, very sensitive. You probably locked it up by accident. Then unlock it. Tell me what to do. Tell him what to do. He's standing right here. I can't. Leo, it's proprietary. I'd have to be there. And like I said, I'm swamped. Double shift. You're lying, Leo shrieked. I know you're lying. Dad's gonna hear about this. He's gonna make you fix this. Is that so? Elias said. Well, you put Dad on the phone when you're ready to talk like an adult. He hung up. He knew it wouldn't be long. The real call, the one he was waiting for, came an hour later. The caller ID was Dad. Elias let it ring 3 times. Took a deep breath. And answered. Hello. Dad. Elias. Martin's voice was not angry. It was worse. It was the deep, disappointed, authoritarian tone he used when Elias was a child. The one that used to make Elias's stomach clench. Elias. I don't know what kind of childish game you're playing. But it stops. Now. I don't know what you're talking about. Dad. Don't play dumb with me. Son, you've humiliated your brother. He's stranded 80 miles from home. And you've cost him a fortune in towing fees. You deliberately gave him a broken car. Elias's spine went rigid. The old fear, the old need to please, tried to rise up, but he crushed it. No. Dad, he said, his voice cold and hard. I didn't. I gave you a perfect $40,000 car. A car that I spent 5 years of my life building for you. You were the one who gave it away like it was a party favor. In front of all our friends and family. You remember that, don't you? There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Martin had not expected this. He had expected an apology. That's not. Martin sputtered, his authority vanishing, replaced by a raw, sudden anger. Don't you dare take that tone with me. I did what was best for the family. What was best for Leo. Elias corrected. He needs it. Elias Martin roeted. The pretense of the calm father gone. He's had it hard. He's struggling. You have a good job. You have your own place. You're stable. It is your duty as the older brother to look out for him. It's your responsibility to make sure he's okay. Elias closed his eyes. The word responsible. His entire life. He had been the responsible one. And in that moment, he finally understood what his father meant. It didn't mean mature. It didn't mean capable. It meant the one who pays. The one who sacrifices. So the one who is irresponsible never has to face the consequences. He had been the family's engine. And Leo had been the dead weight they'd been forcing him to tow. No. Elias said. The word was quiet. But absolute. What? What did you say? I said no. Dad. My duty is not to be Leo's safety net for the rest of his life. My responsibility is to myself. I worked for 5 years. I sacrificed. I am done. It is his car. It is his problem. You will fix this. Elias, I am your father, and I am ordering you. Or what? Elias cut him off. You'll take away my allowance. You'll ground me. You have no power over me. Dad, you gave that up when you gave away my car. He hung up the phone. He pressed the block button on Martin's contact. Then he did the same for Leo. A minute later, his phone buzzed. A text message from a number he didn't recognize. His mother. Probably. Using her phone. Text. This is Dad. You are no son of mine. We are towing the car back home. The mechanic here wants $200 just for his time. And the towback is another $600. That's $1. $200 you have cost this family because you wanted to be selfish. We will be back tonight. You will be here. And you will fix what you broke. Elias looked at the message. $1,200. The price of their arrogance. He smiled. He typed a single reply. Elias, see you tonight. He didn't block his mother's number. He wanted them to know he was coming. This wasn't over. He was going to finish it. He grabbed his keys. Not to his truck, but to his motorcycle. He had one last thing to do. Elias arrived at his father's house just as the sun was setting, casting long, angry shadows across the driveway. A massive tow truck was parked at the curb, and on its flatbed sat the Mustang, looking like a caged animal. Martin and Leo were standing near the truck driver, Martin holding a credit card, his face tight with fury. He had parked his motorcycle down the street and walked up, his helmet under his arm. He stood silently at the edge of the lawn. There you are. Martin spat. Seeing him, he finished signing the receipt and tore it off the clipboard. The truck driver, looking exhausted, nodded and climbed into his cab, starting the engine with a roar. $1,200. Martin said, his voice low and shaking with rage. That's what your little stunt cost us. $1,000,000. Lambe. That's what your decision cost you. Dad. Elias replied, his voice calm. Don't you play word games with me? Martin shouted. Storming over to him, Leo followed a step behind, his arms crossed, his face a mask of sullen entitlement. You did this. You intentionally humiliated your brother and cost this family a fortune. The tow truck's hydraulics hissed as it began to lower the flatbed, preparing to offload the car. I did, Elias asked. I wasn't the one joyriding on the coast instead of going to a job interview. Leo's head snapped up. How did you? You think I'm stupid? Leo, I've been covering your tracks my whole life. I know you. Elias turned his gaze back to his father. And you? You took 5 years of my life and gave it to him like a dog treat. It's just a car. Elias Leo finally burst out, his voice cracking. I don't get why you're being such a baby about this. It's just money. You're the one who has money. It's your job to help. Elias stared at him. The sheer, breathtaking arrogance of the statement, the honesty of it, was almost funny. My job, to help you. I don't work for you. Leo, I don't work for this family. Not anymore. You ungrateful. Martin stammered, his face turning a deep, blotchy red. After everything I've done for you, given you. What? Elias shot back, his own voice finally rising. What have you ever given me? You gave me your scraps, your leftover time. You taught me to fix things so I could be useful. But you gave him. You gave him everything. You gave him my college fund. You gave him my time. And then you gave him my car. I am your father, Martin roared, jabbing a finger at Elias's chest. And I am telling you to fix this mess. You will make that car work. And you will apologize to your brother. He's right. Eli. Leo chimed in, stepping forward with a smirk. Stop being a child. Just fix the car. It's not like you can do anything with it anyway. It's a brick. It's stuck here. You lost. Elias looked at Leo's smug face. He looked at his father's furious, demanding expression, and he felt the last tiny thread of obligation snap. You're right, Elias said quietly. Leo's smirk widened. See now, just be a good boy and… You're right. It's a brick. Elias continued, walking past them, toward the Mustang. The tow truck driver had unhooked it and was now pulling away from the curb. The car sat dead in the driveway. It's a brick to you. Elias walked to the driver's side door. He opened it. What are you doing? Martin demanded. Get out of that car. It's not yours. That's where you're wrong. Dad. Elias slipped into the driver's seat. The familiar smell of new leather and engine oil, the smell of his own sweat and labor, enveloped him. It was never, not mine. He reached under the dashboard, his fingers finding a small, hidden panel he had built into the frame, completely invisible to the eye. Leo and Martin watched, confused. I tried to tell you, Dad, Elias said, his voice echoing slightly inside the cabin. It's a custom anti-theft system. His fingers found the small, biometric scanner he had salvaged from a high-end laptop. He pressed his thumb against it. A tiny, nearly silent beep sounded from under the hood. I'm the only one with the key, he whispered. He pulled his phone from his pocket. He opened the same app he had used to disable the car. He tapped the icon. Fuel pump enable. He's bluffing, Leo said to Martin, his voice suddenly uncertain. He's just trying to scare us. It's broken. Remember, the mechanic said so. Elias put his phone away. He put the original key, which he had taken from the house while they were waiting for the tow, into the ignition. He looked at his father, who was staring at him through the windshield, his face a mask of confusion and rage. I hope you're happy, Dad, Elias said, though his father couldn't hear him. He turned the key. The 428 Cobra jet engine exploded to life. It wasn't a sputter. It was a roar. A deep, thundering, perfectly tuned sound of raw power that shook the entire driveway. The headlights flashed on, bathing Martin and Leo in a brilliant white light, freezing them in place like startled animals. Their jaws dropped. Leo stared, his mouth open. How? But… It? Martin just looked, his face a sudden, pale white. He understood. He finally understood. Elias gripped the steering wheel. He put the car in reverse. His eyes locked on his father's. I'm done fixing your problems, Dad, he said, pressing the gas. The tires chirped on the pavement as he backed the Mustang out of the driveway, the engine's roar echoing down the quiet suburban street. He shifted into first, gave one last look at his brother and father, standing there, defeated and humiliated in the glow of his taillights, and drove away. He didn't look back. The following Saturday, Elias sold the Mustang. He sold it to a collector in another state for $55,000. The man was ecstatic, calling the custom anti-theft system a work of genius. Elias took the check, deposited it, and went to see a mortgage broker. A month later, he put a down payment on a small, 2-bedroom house on the other side of town, one with its own 2-car garage. He sat on the porch of his new, empty house, holding a beer, watching the sunset. His phone was quiet. He had not heard from his father or his brother since that night. He had lost his family, but as he looked at the keys to his own front door, he realized he hadn't lost anything at all. He had finally, after 32 years, bought his own freedom.